always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many.
This is the Polo GT TSI. It is a slightly premium hot hatch. Just like the old car, the facelifted GT TSI comes with a 1.2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine, which produces 105 horsepower. No matter what anyone says, this engine is a lot of fun. Put your foot down all the way, you hear the turbo spool up when comes a sudden surge of power that pelts the car forward. The best part would be that the GT TSI comes mated to a 7-speed Volkswagen famous DSG automatic double clutch transmission. This means shifts are seamless and immediate. The driver can decide whether to keep the transition in D drive mode or S sport mode or manual Tiptronic. For the city, just keep it in D and enjoy the ease of driving this hot hatch in traffic of non-traffic situation. On the highway, when you want to have a little fun, shift it to sports mode. This holds the gear longer and allows the car to behave quite mental. Considering the GT TSI comes equipped with a manual handbrake, showing off to your buddies or trying to impress your girl with some power slides is a given. Looks like Volkswagen has kept that in mind as well. The Volkswagen Polo offers a boot space of 280 liters, which is good for carrying 2 to 3 medium-sized luggage. While this is a driver's car and it is most likely will remain there actually to enjoy a car, we need to focus on the passengers who may sometimes be occupants of your vehicle. With the front seat pushed fully back, the legroom of the rear passenger is acceptable. 2 can sit comfortably, but 3 will be a stretch, particularly because the hump running down the middle means there will be literally no legroom for the passengers seated in the middle. The roof does tend to slope down at the back, but the headroom will not be a problem. The smaller side windows, however, do mean that there is less light coming in when compared directly to the i20. The seats also get the dual tone finish, and the textile and the stitching on them is rather neat. The design is comfortable for long drives, and even the rear seats get a good lumbar support. The only complaint there is the backrest of the rear seat is a tad too upright for long drives, and the human tendency of slouching deeper into the seat as the time passes will be quicker than usual. The 2-din audio system, contrary to what you would expect in most cars, is an absolute delight. It is in general trend for some fanatics to run straight to the accessory shop and get an amplifier and a sub installed in a new car. However, if you are not that finicky, you will be delighted with the quality of audio the factory installed speakers provide. We don't have the details of the exact configuration of the speaker, but the RCD R20 music system has USB connectivity and SD card slots, aux port, and Bluetooth for connecting your phone. To be honest, I really like the factory fitted speakers in the i20, and the ones in the Polo just take 2 steps ahead in terms of quality. For vocal, the clarity is excellent. The mid frequencies are more than present to give the tracks a wholesome feel that most speakers miss out on by being too treble bass. The Polo's design followed the more traditional layout, with all car and driving related displays on the primary instrument cluster and the music system getting its own display. The speedometer, the RPM meter gets various illuminated LEDs within them. Parking brake illumination, brake press status, electronic pedal control, door open warning, airbag status, etc. Another multifunctional display cluster sitting between these two show the time, fuel status, trip meter, and most importantly the gear currently deployed. Before we get down to the actual driving experience, it is important to get comfortable in the driver's seat. The viewing all round from here is very good overall. The windscreens allow for a good view on the road, and the fact that you can adjust the seat for the height means even not very tall people can sit higher up for better forward vision. Side rear mirrors ORVM provide good view down both the sides to a fairly wide angle. The A-pillar doesn't impede on the viewing, and even the most sudden arrival from one of those sites will be seen by the driver well in advance. However, there's just one niggle that is worth mentioning. The inside rear view mirror's view is impeded by the two head seats on the rear seat. You can only see through the rear windshield between the two headrests, with the low roof and the smallish glass size being the contributing factor. Because there was a couple of times where I felt that a two-wheeler somewhere in the blacked out area blocked by the headrests are not exactly visible via the outdoor mirrors, and in reality there actually was someone. As far as numbers go, it is a 1.2 liter engine, but the power it generates is very similar to the 1.6 liter engine from the previous Polo in terms of horsepower. But the engine generates a lot more torque. If you're the only one who has the ability to feather touch the throttle, we urge you to stay away from this car, because anyone you may be traveling heavy traffic will be at serious risk. There are two modes for driving in, the D mode and the S mode. The D is the standard drive mode, which balances performance with fuel economy by shifting up as quickly as possible. This is a perfect mode for in the city and even on the highway, when you may want to overtake, but this mode isn't quickest to response for a sudden burst of speed, because a quicker shifter up means there is a slighter and higher gear. The S mode, lovingly called as sports mode, redlines almost every time before shifting gears. Means for enthusiast driving and even at lower speed, it revs a lot more, because it plays in the lowest gear possible without damaging the clutch. This mode is designed for the track or when you need to really blow off some steam with a concern for fuel economy. There is also a Triptonic mode that brings in manual shift with the automatic gearbox, but honestly, with something as good as the DSG to take care of the gears, we wouldn't bother with the manual mode. The biggest difference between the D and the S mode will be. Let me start by talking about the performance in heavy traffic, the typical rush hour stuff on the way to work and back. There is a very slight, almost negligible turbo lag only at certain cruising speed, but the lack of lag is a great asset when you need to move as quickly as you need to stop soon enough. Take your foot off the brake and the car moves forward. Release a tad too quickly and the GT surges forward quite rapidly. Like we said earlier, finesse is the order of the day, at the least initially. Once a forward movement has happened, slightly press the throttle and the power at even of the lowest RPM is more than evident. The DSG gearbox has a clutch protects the engine revs from going above 1200 RPM when launching from standstill. But despite that limitation, you do not feel any sluggishness whatsoever. Shifting to better populated, that is where you really get your money's worth in the Polo GT TSI. The acceleration is fairly linear in D mode, and TSI engine, even when revved, is fairly smooth and doesn't really have a soundtrack to it. Not that we mind, particularly not when the car could be doing that at the cost of fuel mileage. The TSI engine is very refined and fairly silent. In the D mode, at 90 km/h, the cabin is as silent as a church. Despite this being factory fitted rubber, there is no roll noise from the tire, which is not something a lot of cars can claim. Very comfortable ride overall, and the fact that the cabin is silent for the most part adds a huge chunk towards that. To buy or not to buy this hot hatch? The answer to this question is very simple. If a powerful and comfortable hatchback is what you're looking for, the Volkswagen Polo GT TSI is the one for you. Not to be confused by a standard Polo, this one is totally worth the GT badge. The thing is, it ticks all the right boxes: performance, technology, build quality. To be brutally honest, this hot hatch doesn't really have any competition. The Hyundai i2080, for all its positive, cannot compete with the 7-speed DSG gearbox at any moment. And for a car that isn't very heavy, the GT TSI has amazing road presence and grip. Chuck it into a turn at more than the sensible speed, the tires provide the necessary grip. Yes, this is a front wheel drive, and that itself has limitation, but at all points within the boundaries of what is sensible. The GT TSI handles brilliantly. The steering at low speeds is delightful light. The only grouse that have is that it doesn't quite have the precision or the feel that you would expect. It is more a case of turning the wheel, more in hope than anticipation. It is possibly just because it takes time to get to know how the steering responds in different cars. But we must specify that this is only a niggle up to the speeds of 20 km/h, because beyond that the steering gradually tightens up and the precision response is much closer to what you would anticipate.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust.